Rain was falling in a thin, endless curtain. The forest road in Oregon was almost empty, and Clara, half asleep behind the wheel, was desperate to find a place to stay. It was well past midnight when an old flickering sign emerged from the fog. Redwood Motel. Inside the lobby, a thin, silent man stood behind the counter. He handed Clara a single key and said, "Last room, end of the hall. Don't bother locking the door. It's safe here." His tone was cold and strange, but Clara was too tired to care. The room was simple: a bed, a desk, and a tall mirror facing the door. The dim yellow bulb made everything look sickly. Clara kicked off her shoes, placed her phone on the desk, and collapsed onto the bed without checking the lock. Minutes later, she woke to a faint rustling sound. At first she thought it was rain, but no, it was inside the room. Slow, uneven, like someone dragging their feet across the carpet. She sat up and listened. Silence. She exhaled and lay back down. Then a slow, drawn-out whisper. "Clara." Her blood froze. The sound came from the mirror. In the dim light, her reflection looked slightly blurred, and behind her shoulder, a shadow stood. She spun around, nothing there. Hands trembling, she grabbed her phone to turn on the flashlight. The lock screen lit up, and a notification appeared. New image saved, front camera. Her fingers shook as she opened it. It was a photo of her lying in the bed, taken just moments ago, but in the mirror behind her stood the same thin man from the lobby, only now his eyes were completely black. Clara screamed and ran to the door. The lock wouldn't turn. Behind her, the dragging footsteps grew louder, closer. The next morning, new guests were told that the last room at the end of the hall had been closed for years, ever since a young woman vanished there, right after taking a picture of herself. It was just after 2 a.m. when Evan finished his rideshare shift in Denver. The streets were empty, and his GPS told him to take a back road home. He didn't mind less traffic. Halfway down a dark stretch lined with leafless trees, his dashboard lit up. New ride request. He sighed. One last trip. The pickup location was just ahead, an old bus stop under a flickering street lamp. A woman stood there, head down, long hair covering her face. She didn't speak when she got in, just slid into the back seat. "Evening," Evan tried. No answer. He noticed something strange. The app didn't show a drop-off point, just a pulsing red dot that seemed to move. As he drove, the streetlights grew sparse. The GPS kept rerouting, guiding him deeper into nowhere. Finally, he asked, "Ma'am, where exactly are we going?" The woman leaned forward, her voice barely above a whisper. "You've been here before." A chill ran down his spine. He glanced in the rearview mirror. Her face was pale, almost gray, and her eyes were gone. The next thing Evan knew, the car was parked in front of his own apartment building. He didn't remember the turns, the stops, nothing. The back seat was empty. Shaking, he looked at his phone. The rideshare app was still open, showing the trip in progress. The red dot was now inside his apartment. When he stepped inside, the smell of wet earth hit him. From the darkness of his bedroom came the sound of the backseat door creaking open. Mark and his wife Ellie had just moved into an old house in a quiet Pennsylvania neighborhood. The place had a steep roof, creaky wooden floors, and an attic the previous owner claimed hadn't been used in years. The first night was peaceful, until around 1:30 a.m. a noise came from upstairs, slow, like something heavy being dragged across the floor. Mark figured it might be the wind, or maybe a mouse. But then it happened again. Ellie was asleep. Mark, holding his phone flashlight, slowly climbed the stairs. Each step groaned under his weight. The attic door was slightly open. The beam of light cut through the dust. Nothing moved. When he came back down, he noticed something strange. The front door was wide open, even though he was sure he had locked it. His stomach tightened. He shut it and went back to bed. 10 minutes later, the footsteps returned. This time, they were directly above the bedroom, heavy, slow, and one step more than the number of stairs in the house. Heart pounding, Mark grabbed his phone to call the police. Before he could dial, a text popped up on the screen. "Why are you awake? Go downstairs." The number was unknown, but the location tag showed his own address. Mark froze. From above, 3 loud knocks shook the ceiling, followed by a soft whisper. Going downstairs is always safer. Jessica, a small-time streamer from Chicago, had come up with a bold idea to gain more followers. A midnight live stream from an abandoned house on the outskirts of town rumored to be haunted. Friday night, just before midnight, she entered the house with her camera, flashlight, and laptop. Peeling walls, the smell of damp rot, and creaking floorboards under every step. In the chat, viewers eagerly spammed for her to go upstairs. Jessica laughed. "All right, guys, let's see what's up there." At the top of the stairs was a narrow hallway with several closed doors. She opened them one by one. An empty bedroom, a closet with nothing inside but an old wooden chair, and at the end, a locked door. The chat blew up. "Open it. Find the key. Did you hear that behind it?" At first, she thought they were just messing with her until she heard it too. A faint whisper, barely there, from behind the rotting wood. In the closet, she pushed the chair aside and found a small box. Inside was a rusted key. Setting the camera down facing the locked door, she turned the key, and the door creaked open. The room inside was almost pitch black, with only a sliver of moonlight coming through a cracked window. In the middle stood an old metal bed, and sitting on it was a cloth doll, its eyes sewn shut with black thread. The chat was buzzing, half joking, half creeped out. One viewer wrote, "Bring the doll closer." As Jessica lifted it, she noticed something on the back, a taped-on old cell phone, its camera facing outward, the tiny red recording light still on. Suddenly, the live stream feed on her laptop froze for a moment. The frame showed her holding the doll, but behind her, in the dark hallway, stood a man. His head was tilted slightly, his eyes absorbing the light instead of reflecting it. Jessica spun around, no one there. The chat exploded. "Who's that? Get out of there." Her camera began glitching, audio stretching unnaturally. Then footsteps, heavy, slow, coming from the bottom of the stairs, each one making the floor groan. Jessica bolted for the exit, but when she reached the front door, it was shut tight, secured from the inside with a chain she hadn't locked. The chat flooded with messages. "Why did you go upstairs?" "He's behind you." The stream abruptly cut to black. The next morning, police found the house empty. The laptop lay on the floor, the camera still recording, and in the final frozen frame, Jessica was visible, the doll in her arms, her eyes completely black.